Assalamualaikum and good evening, everyone. Welcome to the fifth session of a public lecture on expert series for sustainability, which organized by Integrated Sustainability and Urban Creativity Center, ISUC, from University of Asia Pacific of Technology and Innovation, APU, Malaysia. So I'm Hazwani, a lecturer from School of Engineering, and I'll be your moderator for today. So today's lecture will be about the implementation of green initiatives in Malaysia. So we'll be looking into the motivation that drives us to implement the green initiatives and make the country to be more sustainable. So we will also be looking into the circular economy, which the idea is to sustain the environment by reusing existing materials if the materials hold its value. Which in 2019, it is said that the rate of waste disposal in Malaysia increases with approximately of 37,890 tons of waste generated every day, with at least 1.17 kilograms generated by each individual. So our speaker today, who was formerly the Deputy Chief Executive Officer of SW Corp in 2019, he's also mentioned that the government has spent almost 2 billion ringgit every year to manage the waste disposal, in which the highest percentage comes from food waste. So therefore, today we'll be focusing on the issue of solid waste and management. For that, we have here with us Dr. Muhammad Fauzi bin Muhammad Taha, who is currently an advisor to the CRS Enviro Berhad. He's also a country expert for Asia Productivity Organization. Okay, Dr. Muhammad Fauzi earned his bachelor degree from University of Malaya, master from Hiroshima University, and also a PhD from Cranfield University. He, as I mentioned, he has experience as a Deputy Chief Executive Officer, Technical of Solid Waste and Public Cleansing Management Corporation, SW Corp, of Ministry Housing and Local Government. Previously, also the Director of Research and Technology of the SW Corp, Ministry Housing and Local Government. He was also the Senior Principal Assistant Director, Engineering Division for the Ministry of Health, as well as work as a project engineer in Public Works Department, okay, during the 90s era. So please join me to welcome Dr. Muhammad Fauzi bin Muhammad Taha. Welcome on stage, Dr. Fauzi.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you
how are
very
you?
much. Okay, thank you
Yeah.
very much, Madam Moderator for today, Madam Haswani.
Yes.
So first, I would like to thank the organization, the organizer, ASEAN Pacific Universities, for inviting me to allow me to be here to share some of my knowledge or experience regarding green initiative in Malaysia, in particularly in focus on solid waste management, because my background is basically solid waste management. So I will use that background to show some of the example of the important green initiative in our country. So thank you very much and very good evenings. For today presentation, while I make a presentation, I welcome any question or any will be allowed any question. Just maybe, but please in related with the topic that I've been discussed, so that I can immediately to clarify or to give whatever explanation regarding the point that I want to stress there. So a lot. I welcome any suggestion. So, but it's of course depend on the moderator. You can ask the moderator to give some ways so that the question can be answered. Okay, so regarding the topic, today, since this is a evening lecture, so I think we relax a bit. This is not during the office hours. So the title is very simple. I just want to share about the implementation of green initiative in Malaysia, because it is a kind of open topics. So maybe it's not necessarily discuss on the issues. Just some kind of introduction. So what the Malaysian is planning to do, what their vision in related with the green initiative.
Mm-hmm.
So as mentioned earlier, I already retired from the government sector. So maybe some of my knowledge or information is quite little bit of outdated, because I'm not involved with the latest situation or latest information regarding the what is the government policy. Okay, so okay, this is the content that I will touch in this presentation. First, I would like to share the 10 key messages. This is important message for me that I would like to share for everybody related with the what we are facing now, especially on our earth. And then I will touch about the Malaysian climate issues. And then what is the our initiative on 2030 agenda for sustainable development, and then on green economies, and then on the green productivity and circular economy, in which I've been involved for the last 2 years with the ASEAN Productivity Organization to develop the guideline on the green productivity and circular economy, in which a new tools to be used, to be applied in ensuring the successful implementation of the green initiative, especially on the business sectors. And then I'm touch on more on the solid waste aspect, because my background basically for the last 20 years I've been handling solid waste. So maybe the example of the great initiative that I will share here mainly on the solid waste, and then we'll end up with the conclusions. Okay. So this is the 10 key messages that I would like to share. This is based on the book called Big World, Small Planets, written by Jack Rockstone and his colleague from Sweden. I got this one from the embassies of Sweden as a reference. So it's quite interesting because I would like to share. First, yeah, they suggest that we need to open our eyes to look at what is happening in our Earth currently lah, and Malaysia in particular lah. If you like to see, eh, what happened to the planet, because according to the statistic or data on the sustainability aspect, on the ecology footprint, carbon footprint, our Earth capability, or their, we call it the health status of our Earth, actually already can be category as six, as sick. Because for example, like the carbon emission, carbon footprint emission, per capita, average uh, now is about four ton per person, for average throughout the world. But if you compare to Malaysia, Malaysia now already almost 8 ton. So meaning that we Malaysian already live in the situation in which is higher than the Earth, the average Earth situation, the carbon footprint of the Earth, and the to in terms of resources, in terms of climate change and so on. So the Earth is can be category as in a six situations. And then the crisis is very global and urgent, eh? Like climate change, because our average temperature already increased more than 1 degrees, and according to the scientific analyst prediction, if more than 2 degrees, we going to be a situation in which we cannot improve our situation. I mean, it's hard for our Earth to recover whatever situation or whatever crisis that we're going to face, especially on the ecology aspect and sustainability. And then everything is hyper connected, and this world is, we can see that is a shrinking world, seemingly unrelated, even can be linked, cause and effects. So, for example, the pandemic of COVID-19 is one of the good example. So, started from the China, and then have been widespread throughout the world, and resulted in, for the last 2 years, we have facing a lot of problem, and we need to expect the unexpected. So anything can happen, just like the COVID-19. Nobody has make a prediction that in 2020 that we're going to have a very serious crisis. So it's happening. So maybe in near future anything can happen. Okay. And then as a result of all these four issues, I think the writers of the book suggest that we need to respect the planetary boundaries. I mean, we need to try to control our limits, the understand the Earth's capability, understand the Earth's limits, ecological limits, in our daily life, or in our civilization environment and so on. And then we need to have the global mind shift, global mind shift, and then try to preserving the remaining beauty on Earth, so that this, for example, like biodiversity, and the beauty of the Earth, like resources, ocean, coral, and so on, could be, if possible, we could preserve and protect it. And then actually we need to make turn things around, meaning that all effort need to be put on the protecting the earth lah, I guess, simply say, to say that. And then unleashing innovation, and first thing first. So this is some basic 10 keys message that I would like to share, that hope everybody can take note on that. Okay. Okay, in regard with the Malaysian climate issues, For example, for the last several decades, our average temperature has been increased. Almost about 0.3% to 0.24%. At 0.13 degrees
We agree,
to
yes.
0.24 degree
Agree.
Celsius.
Mm-hmm.
So this is in line with what happening to our Earth lah, average for several decades. So meaning that we Malaysian also contribute to the increasing of the average temperature of the Earth. As a result, the rainfall for certain part of Malaysia, for example, like Sabah, has decreased, and for Sarawak, for example, it shows some increase. So there is some change of the rain pattern for our countries, and then somehow we managed to maintain our forest areas is for about 55.3% of the land is still forested, and the population is about 32.7 million compared to 2020 is about 32.6 million. Actually, based on the statistic, because when I was in the Solid Waste Corporation, I need to get the information of the Malaysian population growth. Actually, based on our gathered information from the Department of Statistics, for the last 5 years or 3 to 4 years, the the increment of the our population is quite small, less than 2% overall,
Mm-hmm.
because we use that statistic to estimate the amount of waste going to be generated.
I see.
So compare, if you compare, for example, like 2014, 2015 and 16, the increase is about nearly 4% at one time. This mainly contribute due to the foreign labor that coming during the 2014, 2015, and 16. But for the last 3 years, especially during the pandemic, the numbers of workers coming to our country is very much less lah. Okay. So that's that I mentioned the apa ni, the percentage pollution lower. Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
then Malaysia recorded about 7.67 ton per capita. This is the amount of CO2 being generated per person per capita per year. Like I said, this amount is higher than average. World average is about 4 ton per capita. So if you compare to other developed country like United States or European country, they are producing many more, about maybe 12 or something like that, 12 ton or something like that. No? Okay, and then in order to in line with the world or world United Nation approach or adopting or try to address the issues of global warming and climate change, we in line with the other countries in the world has adopted the 2030 agenda for sustainable development. eh. And then this agenda will be has been adopted in our shared prosperity vision 2030, meaning that we already committed to try to implement whatever target indicator been stated in the agenda 2030. There is about 17 sustainable development goals being stated. So generally, we Malaysia, in principle, we are adopting it, and we have declared our commitment to 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 comply and to achieve that. So that's why the agenda 2030 agenda will has been adopted in the shared prosperity vision 2030, and also in our 12 Malaysian plan for 2021 and 2025 development, and also the 13th Malaysian plan 2026 and 2030. Okay. So this is some indication or sustainable development goal SDG set by the United Nations and others 192 countries in the world. So it is covered quite comprehensive. all aspect of our life which related with the sustainability and also environment. Okay. It have 17 goals, like I said, and also 169 targets and 232 indicators. Last week, the our Yang Amat Berhormat Prime
One.
Minister has declared their and showed his seriousness on achieving this target. According to the news, um, they said that there will be agency or division or agency that will monitor the implementation of SDGs. So
Mhm.
meaning that I hope after this or maybe by next year, all the department, all the state or local government will make a reporting on the achievement of the target of these SDGs. Okay. And then at the same time, we also have this green economy policy in which we already embarked about several decades ago. Eh? For example, one of the important target is try to change our energy, in which previously before this is too much depend on the hydrocarbon or petroleum or fossil fuel, for example like diesel and coal. So now we are targeting to achieve 31% of total requirement of our energy supply by 2030 is from the renewable energy. Yeah? And beside 2030, we also have a target for 2040, if not mistaken, in which we target to have about maybe 40% of renewable energy. eh. Because this is just a few days ago, I go through at the website, there is target for 2040 also, but somehow I still not go through any proper document on that. And then at the same time, um, we would like the society or our community to practice on low carbon activities, as well uh, as effective and security energy, maritime, plastic and substitute product, smart and sustainable cities, sustainable coastal development, and preservation and rehabilitation of climate adopted technology. Meaning that all our approach, either by societies, by organization, and so on, have to consider all the um, um, sustainability and also environment protection, which already been established under SDGs, need to be adopted, embedded in whatever implementation program. And then at the same time, we introduce the creation of circular economy that can operate without emitting waste. This is another, what we can say, the latest version of recycling, I can say, in which try to look at the recycling as the holistic approach, in which it um, um, and wider aspect, not only focus on the resources or material, to recycle or to extend the lifespan of the material, but also try to look at as a overall aspect, try to conserve and also increase the usage, the lifespan of the whatever material that we use. For example, like either recycling, reuse again, and so that try to avoid any wastage or waste to be sent to the landfill. So that whatever waste generated from one process to become resources of other process. Okay. And then development through green growth, which emphasize on low carbon development, resource efficiency and resilience and inclusivities. Okay. Okay.
So,
Anything more?
Dr. Fauzi. So,
Yes,
to
yes, yes.
summarize, basically, Malaysia has
Mm.
released a very high carbon.
Mm.
So, we have to
Yeah.
practice the low carbon activities
Yes.
I mean, like in overall, in so meaning to say, each individual and maybe all the organizations has
Yes.
to implement this green
Yeah.
economy,
Yes.
including using the renewable energy, and then to
Yeah.
basically The third point is interesting. Is we can summarize it as a 3R,
Mm,
recycle,
mm.
reuse, and reduce. Yeah.
Reduce. Yeah.
So I think that's the maybe for individual in the
Mm,
aspect of individual. Okay, I think we should take into consideration the point of
mhm.
reusing or recycling things that can be used, okay, in
Mm.
our surrounding maybe. So yeah, uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
please proceed,
Yeah.
Dr. Fauzi.
Okay, thank you. You are right, Mr. Madam Moderator, because actually, if you look at our carbon footprint, what is the major contribution? The major contribution is coming from the energy. It's about maybe 70% is from the energies.
I see.
Energies. So that's why each of us has a responsibility. For example, try to reduce the usage of individual car, for example. Try to be more toward using the public transport, because
I see.
energy is coming mainly from the transport and also energy from the electricity. This is two main things, and then actually each of us have a role there. eh. So
Mm-hmm.
actually, if you look at the carbon generation, the first is energy, the second is a waste. It's about contribute
Ah,
about almost 10% of our carbon footprint is coming from waste. So
I see.
that's why important actually, if you detail further, actually the waste, the type of waste that contribute more in this carbon footprint is a food waste. Like
I see.
maybe I will touch it and explain it further later regarding the
Okay.
food waste. Okay,
All
okay,
right.
thanks.
All right.
You are right. Each of us have a role there. Don't think that apa big company, Petronas or whatever big company role. Actually, each of us has responsibility here. Okay, next. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, now so continue with the green economy. So actually, and we also have a target to try to reduce, like I said just now, the carbon footprint. Actually, try to reduce the emission intensity. Here, the beside the carbon footprint, there is also the term they call it the carbon footprint intensity. This is a developed country terms lah, because
Uh-huh.
the 7 ton just now that I mentioned, they will divide by the GDP. As a result, they
Oh.
will go produce some values which they compare with the developed country lah.
Uh-huh.
So the higher the the GDP, one's country will have a lower value, even though they
Mhm.
have a very high carbon footprint on the CO2 emission. But
Ah, okay.
somehow the government already promised to reduce up to 45% of the 2005 level, by 2030. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Without any, previously we have this 45% with the assistance from the developed country, but now the government changed. They want to do it to achieve the 45% without the support. I mean, the totally with our own effort, we want to achieve the 45%. In order to
Mm-hmm.
achieve this 45%, actually, besides try to reduce our carbon footprint, meaning that to practice recycling, save energy, use public transport, we also have could increase our GDP lah, so that we could achieve this target.
I
There
see.
are this actually in our country we have a special dedicated agency, which look at this green technology, green economy, green procurement. They call it a Green Energy and Climate Change Agency, bawah Ministry of Environment, something like that. So
Mm-hmm.
actually we already have a very good, I mean very serious focus on initiative of the green energy. So this is some of this agency, the green energy agencies initiative, for example introducing new green product and services, in which those company who's use this kind of product, they can be certified, they can get certification for the green organization and so on. And at the same time, government introduce and also practice government green procurement. eh? For it started in 2016 for 5 ministries, but now all the government agency, based on the this this guideline, all the government agency have to practice green procurement, meaning that whatever product they want to buy, they need to buy the green products, practice recycling, save energies, and so on. Okay, and then in order to achieve this green economy, we need first we need to have a green productivities lah. This is a traditional method lah. It's related with the related with the process manufacturing, process and whatever activities, product activities or service, eh, that we need to focus on clean, meaning that we need to follow whatever DOE regulation, Department of Environment regulation, and also whatever emission or water discharge required by the Act, Environmental Quality Act, we need to follow. This is very basic and very pertinent, very important that all companies, agency, businesses, and organization need to follow whatever rules required related with the solid waste, related with the occupational health, environment, and so on. Whatever laws we need to follow, and also at the same time we need to introduce lean manufacturing, meaning that try to use less materials, not so complex system and so on. Try to minimize usage of energy and so on, and lean manufacturing and many others. And at the same time, like I said, environmental regulation need to follow. If possible, try to do life cycle assessment so that we can assess our carbon footprint, ecological footprint, water footprint, and so on. And then design for environment. For example, consider whatever our process or product is in line with the environment requirement, and also if possible that could protect the environment and also to encourage recycling. Eh? Okay.
So basically, when we talk about green productivity, just now Dr. Fauzi said that um, we use green products. Could you give
Yes,
us
this
further examples, has been implemented in government buildings,
yes,
in using the green products or green process, for example? Could you
yes.
elaborate further what kind of example to
For
on
example,
this?
for electricity, now we can use the LED
Ah,
bulb or something like that, so that we can
uh-huh.
save energies. Now LED can use everywhere. The last 10
Uh-huh.
years, we feel like very expensive to use LED. Now, we just remove the starter and replace it with the LED bulb. So now, very simple. So every bulb can, all the electricities, and if possible, we could have a meter that could meter the usage, right? The record of the usage, and then set the target, try to reduce the energy usage. And of course, the very basic is practice recycling in your office, and try to reduce waste, try be paperless, and don't have
I
so much
understand.
paper, use meeting online, or maybe do not have to paper minutes of the meeting and so on. Try to receipt whatever, try work online, for example. This is some of the example. Or maybe now we are quite familiar with the working from home. Try to encourage, if possible, working from home, meeting and so on.
That's a
So
good
this
thing
is
to
some
hear.
of the example. Some of the example actually, in terms of energy, in terms of green initiative, although it's small, but it is contributing to the
Reduce the
okay,
carbon.
the green productivities. Okay, okay. And then circular economy. This is the principle is try to preserve and enhance natural capital by controlling finite stock and balancing renewable resources, because our natural resources is not unlimited. I think the timber, the river, although it's huge, but is now very limited. So we need to conserve it uh, as good as possible. Try to prolong their life, whatever material that we use, and if possible, don't try to whatever wastage. try to reprocess or recycling or recover so that it can be used at least to become energy and so on. And try to optimize resource use, circulating products and component and material. Promote system effectiveness and revealing design out negative externalities. So actually, basically, circular economy, the basic thing first we need to use reuse and recycle. This is a very basic, and then production, meaning that we have to be, they call it sustainable consumption, production and also consumption. Meaning that we need to produce it um, sustainably, and also consume it sustainably, responsibly. Whatever product and goods that we produce or we use, produce and use. So this is the general framework: regenerate, share, optimize, loop, visualize, and exchange. In which now quite a lot of guidance from the European, from the, like I said, from this ASEAN Pacific organization, ASEAN Productivity Organization. Also, they have this framework on the circular economies. Okay, this is some of the example green productivities
Mhm.
and circular economies that organization or company can apply. Actually, we don't have to apply everything. Try to give priority, which use the low hanging. Which one is the simplest? So try to at least some effort to do it. But for example, like emission reduction, for example, to complying to the law and regulation, that one you know you need to do. Right? But for example, like reduce and reuse effluent pollution, try to do some effort on that, and try to manage non-hazardous waste, include general waste such as paper and plastic. This is one important thing, is try to separate the waste. At least, I mean, not at least, the most important is from hazardous and then non-hazardous. This is very important because once you mix hazardous waste and general waste, automatically your waste is become hazardous. The waste is hazardous waste. The treatment and handling and managing the hazardous waste is expensive and very tedious. And then the law is very strict on that, and then the penalty is very expensive. So that's why I try to reduce residual waste by not mix it up with the general waste, separation and recycling. And then try to recycle and reuse water, consume energy efficiency, and maybe if possible use renewable energy. Currently, the solar PV is quite popular and considerably cheap lah. If I compare the last 5 to 10 years,
Mhm.
now it's a good, and also have a good battery, so can embark into the solar technology, solar energies, and then supply chain, environment impact, product services, and then extended responsibility for the manufacturers. This is currently in our country, not many organization or company has practiced it, but in Europe, Korea, and Japan, this is a requirement for any manufacturers or product producers to embark into extended responsibility by the manufacturers. Meaning that they have be responsible on the product, not only during manufacturing but at the usage and after usage, by
Mhm.
the consumer. Okay, sourcing of composition and material. Okay, and then for circular economy, the example is to make the process more efficient, try to reduce emission or ash, because through the process, for example, like combustion process, different combustion process could produce different type of ash, and also different type of emitting different type of air pollution. Reduce pollution gases such as gasification and pyrolysis, and use precision technology. Like I mentioned, the combustion is depend. Either you want to do mass burn or gasification or pyrolysis. So it will be a different. produce uniform product or emissions. And also anaerobic digestion is possible, especially on the food waste. Eh? And now anaerobic digester uh, could have a very small size and up to maybe 200 and 300 tons per day of of facilities. And try to, for example, produce liquid fertilizer for the organic waste and also practice composting. Recycling and upcycling. Upcycling meaning that try to produce the high quality product. For example, the craft, especially craft lah, crafting, handcraft, making bag from the plastic or something like that. Souvenirs. So that one we call it upcycling, so that we could produce higher quality products.
Quality.
Energy from waste and composting. Okay. Anything?
Yeah.
Need?
So,
Okay. Okay.
so
Hmm.
was mentioned just now about the like other country.
Hmm.
Their manufacturer
Uh-huh.
uh, implement this green or circular
EPR.
economy by like taking care from the
Yes.
pre-process
Yes.
for the process and the post-process. So, like
Yes.
in Malaysia, do we have that? Like, are we already implemented that, or if not, how do we encourage this
There is
organization or manufacturer? Yeah.
been implemented by some companies,
Some companies.
some companies. For example, the very simple example of this extended producer responsibility is like, for example, previously we have these glass bottle drinks bottles, okay,
Uh-huh.
or bottle ketchup, for example.
Uh-huh.
So last time when we buy ketchup, we had need to put 10 cent to the retailers. So when we
Uh-huh.
return back the bottles, we can get back our 10 cents. And then that
Uh-huh.
bottle can, when the producer come to send their new product, they take back the bottles to their company. Okay, this is
Mm-hmm.
some of the example, meaning that they practice the take back. But for European country, they have this because they have this EPR to address the issues of packaging. Because
Uh-huh.
now recently since COVID, we see a lot of packaging. The Lazada, Shopee, the whatever product that we buy, they come together with the box. Several
Yes.
layers of box. So packaging is huge now. But in that country, European country, they actually, when they produce the product, first they need to follow the packaging law, because there is a packaging law there. This is, they need to control the amount of packaging they need to be used. And then the
Uh,
packaging, for example, they cannot mix. For example, your box is paper, you cannot mix it plastic,
plastic.
because it's hard to recycle. So they
Uh-huh.
make sure that the box is can be recycled easily. And
Mm-hmm.
then at the same time, they also provide money to agencies to collect back the whatever they are packaging, to be
Ah,
sent to the recyclable.
I
So the
see.
cost, the budget of collecting back the packaging and also some of the product is already embed into our products, or into our price, the
Cost lah,
cost that
cost.
we buy. And then with that money, the collection, the money collected, we can introduce, for example, in German, each houses have is being provided by the bin for packaging. So
Oh.
all the packaging can be put into the bins, and then there is a contractor will come and collect it, maybe
Mm-hmm.
every 2 weeks or something like that. So in that way, the recycling and separation at source is very simple. It's being um, facilitate or being make it easy by providing this dedicated bin for the recyclable, especially packaging, and also packaging like especially drink, including drink bottles or pack or some also. This is the example. Similarly with Japan. With Japan, even they use the money provide the manufacturers to buy the collecting vehicle. Collecting vehicle,
Mm-hmm.
compactor. We call it compactor lah in our solid waste management. We call it compactor to collect the
Mm-hmm.
garbage. or packaging or any recyclable, and then give it to the local government, or maybe to provide the facilities for MRF, material recovery facilities, to sort back all the recycling, by them, I mean, using the money given by the producer. And it's depend on how many or how much, how many of their product lah. There is some calculation on that lah, and then it's
Uh-huh.
supported by the law. Actually, in government, actually I've been trying and also involved in introducing EPR until I retire 2 years. Until now is still not still materialized lah. I mean, still I don't know. Maybe they are still doing it in doing it now. Okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And then avoid single use, easily repair, recycle, and take back system, deposit refund system, everything. For example, now we've been practice the no plastic bag day or no plastic bag. For example, in Selangor, Melaka, you cannot, or maybe you need to pay 20 cents to get the plastic. This is a good approach. This is the very basic principle of reduce lah, or reject. Try to avoid to use this single-use plastic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, I think we could continue. Actually, for the last 2 years, I involved with the ASEAN Productivity Organization to carry out studies, the practice of green initiative in our organization, because I did survey about 110 companies. We give them questionnaire, and some of them I managed to get to engage directly, and some just fill the form. For example, about almost 30% of the organization, or said declared that they already practice green productivities lah. For example, and then still l- below 20% of the company or organization is practicing any form of circular economy, like I mentioned. And then I think, and this is won't surprise me, because circular economy is still new. It's about 5 to 6 years been introduced worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
And then sustainable development goal, the 17 target. Most company at least got several target been part of their charter, part of their charter or target or vision in their organization. eh. It's about 40, maybe 47% of the organization. And at least several lah, maybe one or two of the SDG being part
Mm-hmm.
of their charter or their target, eh, in their whatever organization process. And then environmental social governance. This environment social government, they call it ESG, is being implemented by all company which listed at our bursa saham, bursa share, BSKL. So all the company, they need to employ or practice ESG. They call it environment social governance. We about maybe about 900, almost 1,000 maybe company which has this kind of effort, but I'm not able to interview or survey all of them. Maybe several, I'm not sure, maybe 30 or 40 years of them that has the ESG. But of course, the Bursa share BSKL is try to improve further on reporting of this ESG by the companies. And then greenhouse gases, this is for example like try increase efficiency of the electricity usage, and also replacing energy with the solar panel and renewable energies, is about maybe not even 30% of the organization and others. So overall, we can see that there is some practice, but still very low lah, less than 50%.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of effort need to be done lah, to encourage. And then sadly to say, for example, SME, almost most they not practice. Very small of them are involved in this, for example, the green initiative lah. SME. This is
Uh-huh.
another area we need to focus lah. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
SMEs. Okay, this is some of the practice of the, for example, like I said, the green initiative. This
Mm-hmm.
is, and then try to compare with other other Asian country. I don't want to detail all this or to elaborate further on this. This is just show some example. During this time, I mean, maybe the survey is not completed because some country like Thailand, Indonesia, they still not submit their result fully. So actually, overall, Malaysian could be considered um, um, the company in Malaysia already practice. I mean, the percentage of participation is
Quite
higher
high. Mhm.
compared to other Asian country. Okay, okay, okay. Anything before I go to solid waste? Because after this, I
Uh,
want try to focus on solid waste.
yeah, we better proceed lah. We have another 9 minutes before
Oh,
the
9
Q&A.
minutes. Okay. So 9
Yeah,
minutes. Always my
yeah, we
favorite
can proceed.
topic. So I cannot say more about it. But anyway, like I said,
Yeah.
almost 10% of our carbon footprint is coming from waste. But
Uh-huh.
not totally everything from solid waste. When we say waste, it's maybe from liquid waste, emission, or water, wastewater, and also agriculture waste. So solid waste maybe is about 40% of that. Eh? So like you mentioned, Madam Moderator mentioned, per day we produce about 1.17 kilogram of waste every day, and then 44.5% is a food waste. This is the most important that I like to stress because our major waste is a food waste. So
Uh-huh.
this is the thing that we need to address. And sadly to say, the food waste is the major contribution of our methane that being generated at our landfill. And then the methane is mainly coming from the food waste here. So I mean, it's a very important target to if we want to reduce our carbon footprint, we need to reduce the issues of food waste in our country. First, we need to reduce the generation of the waste, and at the same time, we need to have a proper treatment facilities for the food waste because food waste actually could become opportunities because they can generate methane gas that could be used to generate energies, and also they can become fertilizer, or they call it soil conditioner and so on, to improve the condition of soil. Actually, if we send to the landfill, it become beside other nuisance like as a disease vectors, and also is generate methane gas that is a very harm to our climate, to our environment. So another thing, we have a lot of this plastic. It's about, for example, is plastic is about 14% or 13% in our waste. And if you look at the ICI is industrial, commercial, and institutional. This is a business waste, we call it. Eh? So the plastic content is high. It's almost 25%. So sadly to say, our recycling in of plastic also very low because plastic actually is a good material to be recycled. Just generally, current practice, our recycling rate is about 32% actually, according to the latest result. So somehow, actually, based on the statistic I shared here, actually we could able to supposedly to recycle about 40%, more than 40% of our waste could be recycled. So actually, a lot of effort need to be done to encourage recycling, especially recycling at the domestic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is some transformation. I think they're not so important now. Now I would like to share what the initiative that could be done in return. This is our situation in our country currently. We much so much depend on sanitary landfill, and about 100 plus landfill, and out of that only 31 is a sanitary landfill, meaning that properly engineered and controlled with a proper collection of gas and leachate to be treated before being released to the environment. And then we have still have quite significant a huge amount of open landfill being operated by small local government. So if we have about 116 open landfill. Open landfill meaning that they just control tipping, and the whatever waste go to the landfill, and then they just control tipping lah, and make sure if there is a problem, they just maintain the drainage or something like that without a proper collection of leachate, treatment of the leachate, or collection of the gas, and so on. We have 4 mini incinerator for the island, Langkawi, Kemaran Highland, Tioman, and Pangku, to serve for the island small mini incinerators. Okay, and then we have recycler. I mean, this is information regarding for example, I mentioned about 30% of our waste is being recycled. Is being recycled by this about several about nearly 100 in total, more than 100 of these manufacturers recyclers that our process our waste and to be recycled. But sadly to say, our food waste is still almost 100% go to the landfill without treatment, 45%. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is our target lah. Our target, for example, what the important that I would like to share, we want to be incinerator. Incinerator, because not all the waste could be recycled or compost or been treated under anaerobic digestion. Some of them need to be incinerator. So last year, for example, government managed to put out tender for 2 incinerator in Sungai Udang Melaka and also Bukit Payung in Johor, for the North Johor area cities. So actually, the hope another new features server incinerator will be constructed, because from this incinerator we anticipate to produce about maybe between 1 incinerator 15 to 20 megawatt of renewable energy,
Mm-hmm.
megawatt hours. And for example, big cities like Kuala Lumpur, Selangor, some part of Penang, and also Kuantan have been planned or been identified to be to be equipped with the incinerator for that township. Okay, and also government also encourage this anaerobic digestion, compost, and so on for the food waste. Okay, okay. So I think for the conclusion of what I've been said just now, so actually, in order for us to achieve the government target to achieve the carbon neutral by 2050s, carbon neutral meaning that, for example, I said the 7 ton per day per person, the whatever carbon being produced is being collect back through, for example, from our forest and so on. So the net value is zero lah. So, and also the initiative to reduce the carbon footprint or to control the emission of carbon and so on, the net value could become a carbon neutral by 2050s. This is the target by the government. Hmm. Beside reducing, like I said, the 45% the carbon footprint intensity just now, and in order to achieve that, everyone has a responsibility to embark into great initiative. Eh? Either personally in their personal life, or at their communities, or at their working or whatever organization they are working with, involved with. eh. The great initiative need to be em- embedded. It should be come together in whatever activities that we want to involve in. For example, during my time when I worked, I always remind, when we try to or plan to do any event or any program, whatever, the first thing that we want to identify is not the what going to provide for the souvenirs, for the food or menu for the high table. No, the first thing, what is the budget for the waste management? What you want to do with the waste? Either you want to recycle. If you want to recycle, what is the facility that we need to provide? This is the thing that we should have. Previously, traditionally, the waste is the last of the list, the requirement required by this whatever organizer or whatever, when they plan something. For example, majlis, a wedding or so on, the waste is very less. And then they just give whatever balance budget available. This is the money for your waste. Because you make money from waste, they said. You can recycle, you can sell, recycle. No, this is not right. Actually, first
Uh-huh.
thing we need to provide the budget for handling the waste, and then it's possible is um, handling it with a proper waste, with a sustainable way of handling. For example, waste separation, recycling, do composting. Try to avoid the waste goes to the landfill. Don't, of course lah, apa illegal dumping is totally out of question lah. That one you could be subject to penalties and so on lah. Okay, and then we need to the effort and support from the government, businesses, organization, and communities are required. So actually, pandemic COVID-19 is a good example in which we could in which we could see that individual effort is very important. eh, Very important. This is what I call it empowerment. Empowerment, meaning that each of us know what to do, what
Mm-hmm.
should we do with whatever, for example, to save energy, to pay the bill for your wastewater treatment, bill for electricity, for your drinking water, because that money is being used for our good, for the environment.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also to this, I call it, like I said, this empowerment, meaning that if everybody do their implement whatever they're supposed to do, I think we could have a good environment, and we could achieve whatever target that we want. I think
Yeah.
with that, I conclude my presentation. If any further clarification or some any question,
Yeah.
please welcome.
Yeah.
I welcome any question. Okay, thank you.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Fauzi, for it very interesting and knowledgeable in presentation. So we do have questions from the floor.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, let's see. So basically, yeah, all right. So maybe let's just read the question. So the first question from the registration before, there are two questions. The first one is, can our country achieve a zero net carbon by 2050? What do you think?
I think we
Are we
can.
able to achieve that?
I think like I said, to achieve that is not that difficult. Supposedly not too that difficult, but everybody have to play their role. Eh?
Uh-huh.
And the government, the agency which responsible will have be responsible on ensuring the implementation of whatever target and whatever program approved by the government, make sure it's been implemented. And
Mm-hmm.
then actually in terms of infrastructure and frameworks, I think we already have. For me, maybe we need some other new incentive and so on, but overall it's already there. But
Mm-hmm.
the problem is implementation. So we need to be serious on implementation. I think we could achieve that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we can. I
Mm.
do. I also believe we can because the 2050 is 30 years ahead. So by right,
Yeah.
we should be able to
Mhm.
achieve that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the second question is, what type of green technology under energy aspect that we can start to see in near future? For example, in 5 years. Uh,
Okay. Currently, the renewable energy is mainly is currently our renewable energy is about 22%. 22%
mhm,
overall of the total energy being produced. 22% is from renewable energy. The big portion is coming from the hydroelectric, big hydro and also a small hydro. Small hydro meaning less than 100 megawatt. So actually now government is more focusing or try to implement of give support to developing the small hydro lah, which is less than 100 megawatt. So
mhm,
another main contribution of the solar, the renewable energy is the solar energy lah, solar PV. Either it is a large scale or the small scale that they call it net net energy metering or something like that. Eh? In which we, for example, individual houses could install the solar PV, and then they can sell the solar energies to the grids. So
Mm-mm.
I think with that, I think currently in a second, almost 1,000 megawatt already being supplied by the solar panel, and
Uh-huh.
another is the bioenergies. This
Mm-hmm.
bioenergies is include the solid waste lah, eh? The waste to energy facilities that I mentioned just now, the two waste incinerator that going to be built in Malacca and also in Johor, which could produce maybe about 40 megawatt hours per day. And I hope, actually, according to my plan, actually, according to not my plan, the plan that I've been involved, we target about 150 megawatt at least of megawatt of energies from the solid waste. 150.
Ah, okay.
150, or maybe another extra 50 from the biogas, something like that.
Biogas.
Another type of way method is geothermal. Geothermal, geothermal using well, I do not know the wave or something like that. Geothermal, and also maybe still under studies is on the wind energies. They also there is mention also the energy from the hydrogen, something like that. But so
Uh-huh.
far still at the study stage lah. Okay, this
I
is some
see.
of the example of the renewable energy that maybe government going to involve or embark with. Okay,
So
embark.
in short, the one that I know, PV and
Mm.
bio energy is already being
Mm. Yes,
implemented. But maybe
implemented. Yeah.
yeah. But the
Mm.
next energy could be included is like mentioned by Dr. Fauzi just now.
Mm.
Um, the wave is it?
Geothermal,
Geothermal, yeah.
geothermal,
Uh,
geothermal, and also hydrogen lah. The
hydrogen, yes, yes.
hydrogen,
Okay.
yeah, because there is some, yeah.
Yeah, all right. So
Okay.
yeah, talking about the renewable energy, there is another question from Ms. Farah Sharifuddin. Is Malaysia suitable to be implemented the wind turbine system? Do we are
Mm.
we with our geographical or maybe our weather or something? Is it suitable? To be implemented? Do you
Actually,
think of
this
it?
is, yeah, this is not my area,
Ah, I
but
see. Okay.
while I'm service, this wind turbine has been discussed, and I'm not sure what is the status. Maybe so far there is no. I can say only a small. I saw it in UKM. They have a small wind turbine, something like that. I don't know. So maybe for the small, it's not like if you go to European country, they have a lot of this
Yeah.
wind turbine everywhere. So maybe not suitable. I'm not sure. Um,
All
but
right.
there
Thank
is
you.
already part of the plan lah, using this wind
Uh,
turbine.
so
Mm-mm.
basically, still under study lah.
Under study. Yeah,
Under
yeah, yeah, yeah.
study. Yeah, so okay, all right. So the next question quite interesting. Uh just now we are talking about waste management.
Mm.
Uh so we are talking more about food waste, plastic. What about
Mm.
e-waste management? What how
E-waste.
about e-waste
Mm.
management like
Okay,
electronics products?
okay. E-waste actually, e-waste is under different regulation or different law, different acts from
Uh-huh.
the solid waste management. E-waste is under Akta Quality Alam Sekeliling lah, 1974. That one is under the Ministry of Environment, Department of
Uh-huh.
Environment. E-waste. Even so, actually, we already have a very good law on hazardous waste lah, including the e-waste. But the problem now is, for example, like small telephone, handphone, television, and so on. The collection bag, the take back of this material. So actually, in second, the government, because I involved also at one time, the government want to introduce this, for example, the take back system for the e-waste.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know what is the status, because most of the developed country, they have a take back system in which
Mm-hmm.
your e-waste you could return back to the retailer, and then you can get some fund from there. By
I
doing
see.
that, we encourage people to return their whatever electronic product they produce. Because
Yes.
in solid waste perspective, actually we have problem with the e-waste. Because for example, battery, if you send it to the landfill, the battery, especially and other type of waste, we produce a chemical that could erode, could make our, because in our landfill we have a liner, could make could disturb or broken our liner, because
Uh-huh.
our liner is made from the hydrocarbon materials, so could
Mhm.
react and could cause a problem to us lah. And then the but that's why the importance of separation at source. Eh, like I said, don't mix hazardous waste and our normal garbage waste. You cannot mix. Once mixed, you it's very difficult for us to separate it. Okay.
But for like from my experience, it's kind of difficult to dispose the e-waste. I mean, like because not we don't. I mean, like, we don't see, or it's very difficult to see the options to place or to throw these e-waste. So eventually,
Mm.
we don't have options, so we have to just mix all the waste throw into our dustbin.
Yeah, yeah.
So maybe, yeah, maybe
So
maybe it should have like some practice, okay, or give more um, options for us to go and throw this e-waste,
mm,
maybe lah,
yeah.
basically, like Dr. Fazil said, it is disturbing the the solid waste.
Like I
We should.
said, if possible, we don't wait for the Department of
Uh-huh.
Environment. We make a program. For example, like our office, we provide or make some program or whatever. You have family days activities. Okay, we bring along our whatever e-waste to that
I see.
facilities, and then actually you can contact DOE, Department of Environment, because they already several registered uh, collector that
I
you can
see.
arrange and then come and collect. Actually, e-waste, actually for industries, they are very valuable, very valuable. They need that. For example, like handphone, especially
Uh,
because they can get gold from there. You see, they can gold do the gold mining from there. So actually,
oh,
but
okay.
what they need is the quantity. If you just send one or two handphone, they it's not economical
That's
for
the,
them to
that's the
come and collect.
problem.
But if you come and collect, maybe one basket or one bins of phone or electronic waste, they will come and collect because there is some valuable, some value on that. There's the value on that.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. All
Mm,
right,
mm.
so we move on to the next question. Okay, there is a question here saying that, okay, people are chopping down the trees to build the solar panel,
Okay.
but at the same time, they are telling people that green energy can save the earth. So what do you think this relationship?
Yeah.
Yes.
So this that's why important we need to understand. There is some, for example, that's why we need to balance.
Uh-huh.
If possible, try to do we call it this, they call it life cycle analysis. Try to balance to see if we chop the tree, what is the amount of whatever consequences, and also the when we put the solar panel. So we need to balance it. So if possible, why you want to cut the tree to build the solar panel? I do not see the reason why. So actually, that's why maybe you need to locate it at proper places. For example, eh? So actually, we need to balance. We need proper studies. Um, I think
Yeah.
that's all I can say lah. Eh?
So yeah, basically, in my opinion, instead of
Mm,
chopping the trees, maybe we can
mm.
install the solar panel on top of the roof, lah. But
That's
that
good.
can be done,
Mm,
right? So
mm,
I I I have uh, heard that in some countries they even build their buildings based on the solar panel, even not only on the
Mm.
roof, but also
When
the
the
wall
fall.
itself. Yeah,
Mm.
the horizontal and vertical
Mm.
panel to install the solar panel. So that is another option lah, basically to
Mm.
install the solar panel,
Mm.
not to cut down the trees. Okay. All right. So
Mm.
maybe this is the last question from the floor from Ms. Jacqueline. Uh, green economy sensible from financial POV? Is green economy sensible from financial POV? Could you answer that one?
POV, PV
Uh,
is it? Financial PV, photovoltaic or what? Financial,
no, not PV.
no,
I
not
think
PV, POV, what? Financial,
one second.
financial, green economy sensible from financial.
Maybe
So
we can just
actually,
answer from the financial lah, in terms of financial.
so maybe some financial. Green economy actually, yeah, currently, actually, we need to, for me, the important of for us to embark or to practice green economy is for the environmental protection. Of course, at initial stage, actually, it will cost more lah. I can say lah, a little bit more. For example, based on our experience, once we want to do green initiative, they always increase in cost 5%, 7%. But in the long term, actually, is beneficial. And in future, I think the cost will be lower. For example, the solar panels is one very good example. Now, at one time, the feed-in tariff for solar panel is almost 60 cent per kilowatt hour. Per kilo, I think the rate is about 60 cents or something like that. Now, I
Mm-hmm.
think before I retired, when they call it the for open tenders, now even there's some company already able to enter the tenders less than 30 cents, meaning that the cost of operation and investment on the solar panel is already very low, already low lah, become low because maybe one of the reason is because wide usage of the system. So the technology also improve. Similarly with the green economy or green technologies, once we practice and once we provide the opportunity for this green to grow, to become more creative and innovative, I think end of the day, I think this will be a financial viable, I can say.
Yeah. All right. So basically,
Not
this.
mention that the impact that we're going to face. For example, there is climate change, flooding, shortage of water, very dry season, the uncertainty of the climax. Actually, by doing a green economy, actually, be able to reduce the generation of carbon footprint. At the same time, will help to prevent the disaster, I can say, of the earth. Okay.
I see, I see. So the initial cost might be high, but the impact or
Mm.
the effect of having the
Mm.
green economy basically could reduce the sickness of the earth. We can say that.
Yeah, yes.
Right. So yeah, from another question actually, just coming in from Dr. Stephen. What more can be done to enhance the existing green tax incentive?
Um,
Uh, any
yeah, green tax.
opinion on that?
Yeah, there is actually actually there is currently there is a quite a good incentive already there. Your initial investment for the green technology is already there. I forget the name already.
Mm-hmm.
Jita lah, Gita, a lot of this already. Even during my time, the government also introduced, we call it the ecological park. Eh? The
Mm-hmm.
I mean we could have a tax exemption if we want to open recycle parks, and also tax exemption for the manager of the say recycle park, something like that. There is already there. Actually, if you go to Maida, you can get a lot of information, and also green technology related with the tax. It's already there. Of course, we could further improve. Um, but so far that I'm aware of, they already several tax already provided by the government. Not only tax, there is also some financial support in approaching or in for example, to if we want to invest or to set up a company or whatever initiative that we want to do. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Fauzi. I
Yeah.
think there is no more question.
Mhm.
Maybe let's see. So maybe last one.
Okay.
To wrap up the session. Uh,
Mm.
so how do we encourage public to basically to be more aware on this on this waste management, since that's your background. So just a last point, or
Mm.
maybe your advice to encourage public to manage the waste. Oh, there's
Yeah.
actually another.
Well,
Yeah,
green
that
technology
one first.
philosophy. Okay. Basically, like I said, if possible, we would like to empower the population in related with the, for example, if you want to talk about the solid waste, related with the waste minimization, waste reuse, waste recycle and recoveries. Because if all of our citizens understand the importance of proper waste management, sustainable waste management, is a good. I mean, actually, this is a very important, because otherwise, for us to provide facilities also is not feasible, because if you not separate our waste properly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of the important things, I think, for us to educate everybody, so that we, for example, like I said, we have produced a lot of food waste, and then this food waste go to the landfill, and the main contributor to our carbon footprint.
Mm-hmm.
So try to reduce, try to compose. Actually, compose is very simple. If you got one box of sand or something like that, you just can put, I mean, for family of two or three in one family, one simple box, market box, you can actually treat your food waste already. Very simple.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
by composting, you could use it for your plants and so on. So that's
All
all I
right.
can say related with the solid waste. Try to separate the waste, reduce, reuse, and recycle. Okay.
Recycle. Okay, since we still got a few minutes left, there is a one question coming from Dr. Stephen again. Uh, so is green technology philosophy really practiced as science, or is it just another marketing gimmick? So what do you think, Dr. Fauzi?
Actually, when they derive it, when they derive it using whatever facts and figures lah, not just pick up something. That's why if you look at the detail, what is, for example, in our case, for the solid waste lah, the target that we want to achieve, for example, we know what is our potential, what type of our waste, eh? uh, uh, and so on lah. For example, we want to increase our recycling, we want to build incinerator. Why we build incinerator? Why we need? Of course, we're not so successful, especially on the food waste, on organic treatment. But I think with the seriousness of the government, I think we could provide. And similarly, with other aspect, for example, like energy, transportation, the target to have a electric vehicle and so on, I think being supported by the facts and figures lah, and not just simply following other countries or something like that. Um, uh, I can say that lah. I mean, of course, further study is needed, of course. I know question about that, but generally, whatever initiative set or uh, target or planned by the government or by the agencies, basically is mainly is being supported by a consultant or something like that lah. Some research on that. Okay.
All right. So I guess that will be the last point or last question. So for that, in summary,
Mm.
basically our Earth is sick.
Mhm.
So basically, we have every one of us has a role to play. At the very least, we recycle our waste, not waste, anything that can be recycled. At the very least, we reduce the usage of things that cannot be recycled, for example. Or at the very least, we have to basically, last one is what we call it, uh, recycle lah, basically whatever that we have. Okay, 3R, recycle, reduce, and reuse. For that, we thank Dr. Fauzi for his time, for his precious time. Thank you very much. There is a lot more you would like to share, I believe, but the time is limited. So with that, thank you, and hope to see you again in near future. Thank you very much. I guess that's
Okay, thank you very
from
much.
us. Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, thank you.
All right.